If you feel at any
I think we are live. Yep. Hey everybody, hope you're all safe and healthy. If we are meeting for the first time, this is Srividya Gauri, nutrition, habit transformation, and weight loss coach from the 8th Element. I'm very excited to be joined by my amazing rockstar client Jyotsna from Bangalore. Hi Jyotsna.
Hi, Srividya.
Hey. How are you doing?
Good to see you here.
Good to see you too. Nice to reconnect.
Yes.
So for all of you who are watching us, Jyotsna is a Bharatanatyam dancer and a mom of two. She completed my program July of last year. Even though she has been off the program for a long time, we have stayed in touch through the WhatsApp group that I have for all my clients. And I was always there to help her out when she needed any kind of support. Let's chat with her about what prompted her to take this important step to invest in her health and about her experience with the 8th Element program and how she's doing now. Jyotsna, I remember you reached out to me in April of last year.
Yeah.
And after I explained to you about what this program was all about, you signed up immediately. So what made you take that decision?
Okay, so a friend of mine had actually shared your Insta page with me. And honestly, it was just your transformation picture. Your before and after pictures were like mind blowing for me. And I was like, I want that too. I want a before and after picture. And, now is the time to do it. And especially with COVID, I wasn't performing last year and, I had less travel. And I felt like this was the time for me to kind of invest in myself. And also I was in a very unhappy space, and with my eating, with my body, with the way I felt more than anything. And I think that when I signed up for the program, it was only to see results, and results in terms of transformation. I really wanted to, have like this story to share. And that's what prompted me to sign up for the program. And I had no idea what it entailed whatsoever. I was expecting you to kind of give me a diet chart with 6 a.m. green juice, 8 a.m. yellow color, things like that. That was really what I thought I would be getting.
Okay, so you are in for a big surprise or a shock.
Huge.
Okay. Yeah, I remember, Jyotsna, you sounded extremely helpless and desperate at the point you reached me. And I can imagine, I mean, being a Bharatanatyam dancer and a performing one at that, you're in the spotlight of everybody, right? Everybody is looking at you. So it's important for you to stay fit and flexible, and not just that, the whatever you're feeling comes out through your expressions as well, right? If you're a happier self, that comes as an expression.
Yeah. And Srividya, more than anything, I think that I was in a space where I didn't find a support group, or I mean, I had very few very close friends who kind of understood, but not everybody. And I was never on the heavier side either. So that was another thing, that I was never able to take a compliment or enjoy a compliment, or everybody's like, oh, you're perfect. And I didn't feel that way. So somewhere I felt like this is about me. This is not really about what others perceive of me, because at the end of the day, it's important for me to feel a certain way. If I feel comfortable in my skin at whatever size and weight, that is the goal. And I wasn't, and I was still wearing an extra small or a small, and I was unhappy. And whenever anybody said, you look amazing, I was like, what are you talking about? I don't look amazing. And it's because I probably didn't feel amazing. So I think that was also a certain like struggle that I had when I joined the program.
It's so true, Jyotsna. Not everybody needs to lose weight or gain weight, or there is no set rule as to what anybody needs to do, but they need to do what keeps them happy ultimately, right?
Sure.
And in terms of deeper health as well.
Yes.
It's not just about physical appearance. It's about how your blood markers are doing, how your other progress markers are, keeping you happy.
Correct.
Your space with food, your relationship with food, all those matter a lot. We are going to get into a lot of those in discussion more in depth. So what was going on for you before you worked with me? What was your life like?
I think I felt very overwhelmed, And there was this constant voice in my mind, morning to night, day in, day out, about every meal, what I'm eating, what I've eaten wrong, that now I've eaten this, so I can't eat this. I've eaten that, but then I shouldn't eat this. So it was like this chatter and a voice that was like, constantly bombarding me with thoughts, which it was very debilitating almost to have to think about this all the time, exhausting, overwhelming, frustrating. So every meal became kind of a moment of stress or a time to feel like, okay, great, now this is going to happen. So, and I felt completely out of control. I wasn't overeating or anything, but I had no kind of strategy in place or no order. So I felt like it was chaos. And I was just kind of going with the flow. And I was an extremely disciplined person in my early 20s, and then somewhere, life happens, marriage happens, children happen. And I kind of just lost track of things, maybe. And I ended up in this space where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just always obsessing about food, always either, getting excited about eating something and then eating it and then feeling miserable about eating it. So it was a kind of a vicious cycle that I was trapped in almost. And it wasn't pleasant. It was not a happy space to be in.
Yeah, put you in a very uncomfortable situation. Losing control is definitely very difficult to handle, right? Especially someone I remember, Jyotsna, you shared with me your strengths on our initial call, right? How you're someone who's very structured and disciplined. You like that discipline. You feel much in control when you have a little bit of discipline around you, and when you realize the transitions in your life, the pregnancies, the deliveries, suddenly your priorities are not number one anymore. You have to take care of your family, and you're somehow putting yourself last. Now that is something that every woman that I deal with is having to face, having difficulty juggling those priorities. So what specifically were the mindset traps that you were caught in?
So again, because I had been somebody who's had so much structure and discipline, I kind of fell into this all or nothing behavior pattern, if I had to call it anything. So there would be days where I would be so, meticulous and good about my eating. My calories were there, my proteins, everything. And then there would be like, maybe one day where I would wake up and I'd crave like a biscuit with my chai, and I'll have like 5 biscuits. And then I'd be like, in my head, I'd be like, okay, I've already messed up this day. So then it would be the next mess up, and then the next mess up, and the next mess up. And then that sometimes would be like, oh my God, I messed up a whole day. And then it would linger on for 2 days or 3 days or a week. So it was almost as if, like if one tire of the car gets punctured, then I would go and puncture the other four, saying, let's not move, let's just be stuck. So that was something. And also, I think I've always been chasing goals. And, that was another thing that I had, a pattern I had kind of developed over the years where, I would set myself a very drastic target, and I would achieve it. I would do all it takes to achieve it. And I'd want to achieve it short term. I'd want to achieve it in like 3 weeks or 5 weeks, or 4 weeks even. For me, like even 5 weeks is too much to sustain. So it would always be like a 3-week plan. And I would get to the top of that, I'd do the trek, I'd get to the top, and then like I'd stay in the top maybe for 2-3 days, and then I'd come sliding back down. So, and then again, I would be at the bottom and I would stay in that space for a while until I was frustrated again. And then again, climb that hill, and it's exhausting. You burn out, right? How many times can you trek all the way to the top and then come sliding back down? So that was another thing that I was really exhausted with. So I think I was in that kind of a space.
Very mentally demanding, and drains you of all your energy.
Exactly, exhausting.
Mental energy and physical energy. And like you rightly said, it forms a vicious cycle, and it traps you, and you don't know how to get out of it. And you find this sudden motivation to now act on something, and that carries on for a few days, and then this pattern continues.
And also I think that kind of, I didn't realize how much it was affecting other spheres of my life. Being a parent, being a dancer, being a friend, being a wife, being a daughter, those spheres were also affected by this kind overall exhaustion and frustration and guilt and shame. So it was like something I realized after I got on the program. I didn't realize how much these things were affecting me. Only when things started clearing out for me could I see the effects of it on other aspects of my life.
So, to quote you, I mean, thank you for sharing all your challenges, but at the end of the program, you said, I feel free of the mind constantly thinking about what is okay and not okay, free of the obsession with weight, free of the burden of guilt and trying.
Yes.
Now, what an amazing
Oh
transformation
my
from
God.
there, from the challenges that you quoted
Yeah.
to how you're feeling now in terms of your mindset and beliefs. Can you
Yeah.
please share with the ladies about how the program helped you make this internal shift?
Okay, so I mean, if I have to go into that, obviously the program was a step-by-step progress for me as well. And the thing is, what I really liked about the program is it was, smaller things that were introduced over time. So I wasn't overwhelmed, and just one second, I have something that's saying update. Okay. So yeah, it was things that were, introduced to me step by step. So it wasn't overwhelming. And they were introduced for long enough for me to actually start experiencing some kind of change. And I think the first one that I have to share is water. And I was like, I don't drink any water. And you were like, wait, okay, let's work on that first, because water is so essential. And we worked on water, and you actually like figured out a way to actually make me drink water, because I was struggling, and I would have all these ways of doing it. And you're like, you know what, based on who you are, you need to, at the end of the day, have one big tick mark. And so I went and ended up getting this, which is fabulous, because I just have to finish this by the end of the day. So just simple strategies. And like, I started feeling that change. So whether it was water, whether it was, proteins, whether it was the vegetables, as we added them, my body started telling me something else. My mind started telling me something else. And that was what made me realize that, wait, what am I chasing at the end of the day? I would still stand on the scale, and maybe there'd be like it's always like this 100, 200, 300 gram fluctuation, whether it's a Saturday or a Friday night or a Monday morning. And, I used to get stressed out about that. I would be stressed out about standing on the scale on a Monday morning, and I would blame myself for that 500-gram change. But now it's like, but then these markers were what I started chasing then, because I was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. And that number didn't even matter to me pretty much halfway through the program. I think it was so liberating. And another thing is, like, I keep saying, my aha moment was when one day I'm sitting around and I'm like, wait, something is not okay. And it's the fact that I have this mind space. I'm like, some room in my brain is vacant. Like, there's no tenant in there right now. I'm not thinking about my next meal or my last meal or what happened over the weekend or what's going to happen the next weekend.
Suddenly, the cloud is lifted, right?
So liberating to be in that space. So that is something that changed tremendously. And I think, it's the fact that there were smaller habits introduced and given enough time for me to actually stay with them, work on them, and experience the changes with those. And those became the markers, and those became so like strong and communicating to me individually that I wanted those for myself.
So that brought a lot of control as well in terms of working on just one practice at a time, where you're just focusing all your energies on that, and you do that well, and then we start on new practices.
Correct. And I think also that start working on one gives you a certain sense of positive achievement, because it's hard to do many things and we don't realize it. We put so much onto ourselves and expect us to do it all easily, but it isn't easy. And I think that is another thing that I really got from the program, that small steps taken every day actually add up to huger results over time, versus trying to fit in everything in like 3 weeks, and then at the end of it you just can't cope. It's overwhelming. So I think that the program helped me in that sense, and it's actually helped me in other spheres of my life, whether it's my dance practice, the way I approach it, or whether I approach my fitness. These are all principles that I kind of have started applying. I'm much kinder to myself. And I feel like my mental health has just improved so much from just accepting that it's okay. This week you could only make 3 workouts. This week you could do 4 workouts. But I have a baseline, and then the structure kind of life happens, and then the structure is a little tweaked here and there, but there is a baseline, which I think I learned from the program, that as long as your baseline, it's like the spine, as long as the spine is firm and strong, then everything else can be worked out.
Yeah, you can scale up or down depending on
Exactly.
how good you feel on that particular day.
Exactly.
But there are going to be bad days, and you did not take them, or you did not beat yourself up about it.
Correct.
You took them also in an even keel as how you would take a good day, right?
Yes.
And I remember the water discussion. The reason I was, it really brought out a laugh in me was every time we had a coaching session, I would say, come on, Jyotsna, let's drink water.
I know the first 3-4 sessions, I would not have a bottle around me and be like, oh God, do I have to drink water now?
And the first thing you noticed was your skin clearing up, right?
Yeah.
Your complexion improved.
Definitely. I mean, I've had acne, I think, my whole life. And not that I'm free of it, but I realize that the breakouts or the intensity of the breakouts is so much less when I am drinking water, when I am eating my fruits and vegetables. And, things like that it's been so amazing for me to see those changes in my body. Energy levels, again, I mean, I used to struggle to wake up or, and I didn't understand why, because I'm a pretty fit person. And, mentally also, I'm a motivated person in general. I don't have too much laziness in my body, if I had to, use a word for that. But then it was a struggle. And the minute these things started changing, I was able to, like, my body felt vibrant and alive.
I remember you saying that you were feeling a lot more active during the day, like your dance practices, you could see a change.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic, Jyotsna. Now this mindset transformation is huge. So I want to just linger on it a little bit. When your mindset and beliefs are in the right place, they no longer sabotage your progress or efforts. So how do you think the change in mindset helped you stay in control of your thoughts, emotions, and your behaviors?
So I think the mindset change is also is about acceptance. It's about acceptance and awareness and control, as you said. So I think that it's not that I'm like completely 100% on track, or it's not that I go and I'm frustrated and I want to eat something, but there is an awareness that my frustration is linked to eating something bad, or my guilt is related to doing something which is not necessary. So I think that this and also the fact that this is for life, there is no end point. So it is constantly going to be shaded. It can't just be black or white. It can't be good or bad. So I think the program has helped me come to that kind of an acceptance. So things are much easier for me. There are days that you lose control, but you don't lose control over the whole day. You lose control for one meal or one thing that goes into your body. And then it's almost as if you're like, okay, I've done that, but you don't linger on that negativity. You then think, and I remember you always saying, like, think of what you can do in the next half an hour to make it better. And it would be as simple as going and eating a cucumber, and I'm like, okay, fine, I've kind of done something good today. I've done something for that piece of whatever I ate.
So the mindfulness and self-awareness was built during the program, which helped you kind of dig further into the triggers behind your behaviors. I remember we were kind of tracking the triggers.
Yes, exactly. We were tracking the triggers, and for the most of it, we found that the triggers are when you're out of control, when you don't have a plan, especially for somebody who's such a control freak. I think that for me to have a plan and to decide in advance, so I feel like now what I do very often is log in my food. My food log is done a day in advance. For tomorrow, if I'm going to log for tomorrow, I would do today evening. So I've already decided most of my meals, and then a little bit of spontaneity is okay, versus everything just being on the fly.
Okay. Yeah. So that again is one of your strengths. You're someone who likes structure, who likes to plan, and we brought those strengths into.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the thing. I wasn't trying to learn new skills. I was applying skills and tools that I already have in other spheres of my life into this, which is why it was a very organic and natural kind of process. It wasn't a struggle. I wasn't swimming against the tide.
Absolutely, Jyotsna. So how do you think is your relationship with foods now?
I think it's a fabulous space. I go out, I eat out, I don't stress about weekends. I'm okay with, a glass of wine when I want it. And at the same time, a weekend doesn't mean that I don't have my boiled eggs, or it doesn't mean that I don't have my protein at lunch. I still manage to do those things through a weekend. So the Monday morning is not a big deal anymore.
I remember
sometimes my weekdays are weekends as well, because I feel like having a piece of cake, and I have a piece of cake on a Friday or even on a Monday. It's okay.
Yeah, any day is okay, right?
Any day, every day is the same now.
Yeah, so long as you're mindful. But I remember, Jyotsna, initially there used to be panic messages on Monday. Hey, Shrividya, the scale.
I know, gosh.
Right? No more of that. You have kind of understood that it doesn't matter. It ultimately it's how you feel from within, and like
Correct.
you said, my body is humming with a certain kind of vitality and energy. I mean, like, what can you equate that to, right?
Exactly. That's unparalleled, and that's like, intangible.
So how do you handle festive eating, social events, and eating out at restaurants now?
So I remember we had this conversation where, I actually had to come up with a strategy to cope with my weekends and things like that. And, we thought of so many ways for me to handle it. But honestly, I think a lot of it is really in the mind. We unnecessarily build up these um, stress points for ourselves. And yeah, of course, when I plan a get together at home or I plan a party at home, I'm more mindful of choices that I can, include in my menu where that would be the best for me.
Hmm.
So if I would add in a few baked things or a few grilled things, because even if there are chips and dip, and I also have another option. I'm not only eating that. So in that sense, I'm much more mindful. And I think that overall, even when I go to a restaurant, I kind of make mindful choices. I choose what I'm going to order. And there are times that, I want to order like a cheese kulcha, and that's okay as well. So I'm not too stressed out about that. Again, with festivals, I think this program has made me understand that this is a long-term thing, right? It's a continuum. So festivals come, festivals go. It's, this happens only once a year. There's only one Diwali a year. It's not every Saturday there's a Diwali.
Yeah.
So it's okay. So I do enjoy it. But again, I think because you kind of fill yourself with all the right things, there is only so much room for all these indulgences. So they kind of become like a proportion. They're not the mainstay.
Fantastic, Jyotsna. Amazing learning. So
Yeah.
you're thinking about everything in the form of a continuum. There are good days and bad days. Food
Correct.
exists in the form of a continuum. It is your choice to choose something better in a particular situation, and it's okay to slip down on the continuum a little bit. Like you
Exactly.
said,
Because
it's
you also
proportion.
know, yeah, and you also know what it takes to get back and that you've done it before, so you can do it again.
Absolutely. And I remember there was this message, like you rightly said, "Hey, there is a party happening this weekend. What do I do?" And I said, "Let's just jump on it. You use this as an opportunity to learn some
Yes,
strategies and skills, right?"
yes, yes.
So that was the time you planned your zucchini boats,
Yeah.
those stir fries and grilled veggies and all that, and you felt so much in control and so much happier because you had your share of stuff that you could dig into without any
Yes,
feeling of guilt,
yes,
right?
yes.
That became a mainstay after that.
Right.
Your
Yes.
friends started loving that too, right?
I'm enjoying that so much.
Nice. Um, so here is another, something that you said. I realize there is more to progress than one dictated by the scale. I now know the important progress markers and how to track them. So, how is your relationship with the scale now? How do you define progress now?
I definitely stand on the scale every morning. I still continue to do that. I think some habits don't ever die, but I don't feel miserable. If I haven't seen it move or it moves in the direction I don't want it to move in. So it isn't as important, but then there are times that, I feel like my skin is dry, or I feel like my joints are not feeling as comfortable, or I feel like my body is kind of dull or zapped in a certain way, and those are the things that actually make me want to get back on track. It isn't the number anymore. So if I miss like a day of drinking water or 2 days of drinking water just because I haven't paid attention to it, I can tell that, okay, these things have changed for me, and I need to prioritize this. So my relationship with the actual habits has become kind of more crucial, and I'm more aware that when I haven't given them the due time and effort, I can see the changes, the negative effects on my body. And the fact is that it is always going to be time and effort. I think that is also something I learned on the program, that it never stops. You can never stop being mindful. You can never stop telling yourself to do these things because they are right for you. But over time, the amount of effort it takes reduces. So it becomes easier. It's like any habit that you practice. We don't notice that we are brushing our teeth every morning, but we do it every day with so much ease. But with my little ones, I'm still like, go brush your teeth, go brush your teeth. So it's the same for us. It's like, the drinking water or the eating of whatever I've planned for the day. It's been much easier with time that I stay on track. And when I'm not on track, my body tells me something is off, not the scale.
Hmm. So you're more, it got you to recognize your physical sensations better
Much.
and course correct and take care of your behaviors in such a way that you can get back on track with the way you were feeling about yourself,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Think about yourself was more of a progress marker than what the scale dictated for
Yes.
you. And like you rightly said, these small habits integrate with your lifestyle and become a part of your life where you're not no longer thinking about it. That was
Correct.
really a nice way of putting it, Jyotsna. It becomes easier on you as you practice these skills and
Yes.
habits. They
Yes.
become much easier on you where you're no longer thinking about it and your life is just moving along very very streamlined, so much in control of your environment, and your choices and your behaviors are automatically in place.
Yes. And I think another thing I also learned in the program is that the kind of person I am, I work very well with less options. Options overwhelm me personally, which is why I've always been somebody, nobody ever understood this, but I love aeroplane food. I literally just look forward to it only because I don't have a choice and somebody else decides how much I eat. So it's like my favorite type. I mean, if I had to pick where I want to eat, it would be on an airplane, and everybody would be like, that's the worst food. But it's like somebody else has made the decision for me on what I'm going to eat and how much I'm going to eat and when I'm going to eat it. So for me, that works well. And I think that this program gave me a chance to practice that. So right now, my breakfast is just the same thing every day. But everybody's like, it's so boring. But actually, that's what works for me. So I think that somewhere I also understood that everyone is so individual. And with social media and things like that, it is so tough to understand that because you only see you see a one picture, and you don't know what goes on behind. You don't know who that person is, what works for that person, but you want that. So it's much tougher now, than even before. But the program helped me understand what works for me. And so if somebody's like, I'm doing intermittent fasting, it's fabulous. I'm like, I'm happy to eat 3 eggs every single day and not have an option of whether it's upma, dosa, idli, or egg. It's only egg. That's it. I don't have any other options. And it works for me. It's fabulous for me personally. So I think that that's another thing that I really learned, that we are so individual and we really have to find what works for us, what, gives us a high, and what makes things easier for us.
Absolutely. I'm totally in agreement with you because I'm like you. I
Yeah.
like boring food. I've been eating eggs for breakfast for the last 8 to 9 years,
Yeah.
and it doesn't, I'm not, never sick of it.
Hmm.
So there are some people who like a lot of variety. There are people who like the same kind of food.
Yes.
Whatever gets you to be consistent with your choices is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So if you are able to, if you have a lot of time and you can plan and you can have a lot of variety of food through your day, perfect. And it lets you stay consistent. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it
But
is
if
such
you're
an
someone,
individual
yeah,
thing.
I mean, if you're busy and you don't have the time and you want the same kind of food every day and you want to have the variety for the days that you want to, party or go for social events, eating out, perfectly fine if it lets you stay consistent.
Correct. Or,
So
sometimes even just having choices overwhelm people. Like for me, it overwhelms me to choose between, sambar and chutney and moraga pudi, or those are things that I actually feel like I don't want to make those decisions. I want to save that bandwidth and energy for other things.
yeah, there's something called decision fatigue, right? There has
Yes.
been research done to say that a lot of choices you start eating more.
Yes.
When you narrow the choices, automatically you eat less of those foods.
Yes.
So so apart from the amazing mindset transformation, Jyotsna, in what other spheres of your life did you see a positive impact? So you said in terms of energy levels. How about your performance, strength improvements, consistency with your exercise?
Yes, I think those have all changed. I'm, more regular with everything I do, whether it is working out, and most of these things are not mood dependent anymore. They're not mood dependent or goal dependent anymore. They're kind of staples. Just like the boiled eggs, the workout is there, the yoga is there, the dance is there. So right now I'm in that kind of a space where I'm kind of navigating and still trying to understand how much is enough for me, or is there anything like enough. I'm still kind of adding one or two things and seeing how I feel, and then what is sustainable, what is not sustainable. But there are certain staples that I have found with my workout, with my dance, with my yoga and things like that. So the program has helped me kind of use those tools in all these other spheres. Even with being a mom, sometimes I used to push myself to do things that I couldn't do, and it was not sustainable because I was getting tired and I was getting exhausted. But now it's like, if I decide to do something for them, then I take one thing. I'll say, okay, I will do only this and see how it works. Am I able to do this? Am I enjoying doing this? And is it actually doing anything for them? If it is, fine, I'll keep with it. If it isn't, let's look at the next thing.
Fantastic. So, I mean, this is again a huge change because I remember you used to feel very frustrated taking on a lot on your plate initially, like setting really high expectations, right? Not being able to meet it. And then, this is huge for me to hear that you're now in a happy space where you understand what is reasonable for you. You're able to scale up a little bit, scale down a little bit, reflect on it. How is it working for you, right? Doing all these kind of reflections and then figuring out whether this is a mainstay thing for me or something that I need to let go.
And I think reflection, I mean, I'm staying with it for long enough, because before I would, do a diet for one day and say, okay, it's not working. And that's it. Now I realize that it's all about consistency, and, it's about doing things that you can sustain long term. It can't be unrealistic. So my goals or my attitude is not unrealistic or super ambitious. It's practical, it's doable, and I enjoy my mental health and my mind space. I'm not beating myself about it.
Here is another thing, Jyotsna. Everybody struggles with it. Every woman out there is prioritizing their goals and taking care of themselves. How did you manage that?
I don't know. I mean, I think that it's always a struggle, right? I think we're always trying to do what we want to do for ourselves and always be available for everybody else. But I think it's over time that you kind of realize that you can't do that. It's really not possible. So you prioritize, you decide what is adding value, what is not adding value, what you think may be adding value but isn't adding value. So you have to kind of take stock of things. In everything we do.
Where you're spending your time and energies, and is that really adding value to where you want to be?
Correct.
Right? Letting go of the things that is not adding value, and also understanding your priorities and your goals, and taking care of yourself is equally important. When you compare it with what you do for your family, because when you're humming along,
exactly,
great energy levels and a great mindset and a happy space,
you're just a better person, right? You're just a better person at the end of the day. You're kinder, you're more relaxed, you're less hard on everyone, because because you tend to take out your frustrations and guilt on others, right? It's only natural. We're all human. So I think that also changes.
So the self-kindness and that self-compassion that you practice for yourself also starts reflecting on other people.
Definitely.
In some situations, people are very compassionate to other people, but they are not to themselves.
Yes.
Right? They're very hard on themselves. Correct. So that is something that needs to happen on both ends.
And when we're talking about, women tend to not prioritize themselves, and we all go through this. I think another thing that really was like a kind of like an eye opener for me in the program was that, when I would tell you like, oh my God, I ate this and it's because I was feeling like this. And, very calmly you'd be like, yeah, I know I've done that too. Or a lot of others do that too. And somewhere the whole shame factor was eliminated, because I was not the only one. I always thought that I was this person who did not know how to cope. And, so it added a certain sense of shame or sense of failure. But to know that a lot of other people are struggling with similar things and similar circumstances and similar emotions and similar relationships with food, it removes a certain sense, those negative elements that you assume you're the only one. So I think that was also fabulous. It kind of was like a support system, or like a kind of tribe, or a group, a community that has similar struggles and have finding their own ways to cope with them.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have a tribe of women rallying for you, right? Cheering for you, and they're all on the same goal, same mission to improve their health and wanting to look better, feel better. And you realize, okay, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be hard on myself. Everybody else is going through it. Right. So maybe I'm not alone. This is all normal behavior. So let me see now. Suddenly you're like shaken into reality. You understand, okay, this is the reality of the situation. What do I do? What do I need to do now? Like you said, in the next half an hour or in the next 1 hour, what can I do that can close the gap between where I am right now and where I want to be?
Yeah.
So the proactive mindset again,
Yes.
comes into play.
Correct.
Fantastic, Jyotsna. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what were some of the skills you learned during the program?
As in individual skills, or what do you mean?
Yeah, so I think we worked on meal planning, meal prepping,
Yes.
right? Time management was another thing because you felt a little scattered through the day. You did not know how to prioritize your exercise, what time would work, your dance practice, right? All of those.
Yes. So
got
I
sneaked in.
definitely think this whole meal planning thing is something that, has been something that I've stayed with, deciding in advance, shopping in advance. That's a big thing because I feel like half the time, even if I want to eat something healthy or plan a healthy meal for myself, then I don't have the ingredients. So I think that the constant stocking of the house with my vegetables or my fruits and the eggs has been, there'd be a day where I would eat something and I'd be like, why haven't I had eggs? And the answer would be, I don't have eggs right now. So I'm not in that situation anymore, that there is always eggs, there is always fruits, there are always vegetables in the house. So planning in advance, being prepared for these kind of situations where something is not available, but you have a backup, that's something. What else? Yeah, deciding the basically the structure of my eating for an entire week in advance, and even being prepared for the times that, like if I go shopping, then I know that I will come back home maybe not on time, and I will eat the first thing that comes to my hand or mouth, and it would be disaster. So now when I go shopping, I plan that I have my meal ready on the table, or I'm taking it with me, because I don't want to be in a situation where, I'm just gobbling things. So even if I'm at a mall, I don't need to go and get a donut, or I don't need to go and, just have a pani puri. I have something in my bag that I can reach out to when I'm hungry, if I need to. If I want to eat a donut, it is because I want to eat that donut. It's not because I'm hungry and I have to eat something. So that's something that's really important for me now, that I don't, eat because I have to eat. I eat because I want to eat something.
Wow, that's coming from a place of mindfulness.
Yes, definitely.
A conscious decision, you decide to do it, you allow yourself to do it, and you're perfectly okay with it.
Exactly.
It's no longer an impulsive or a very reactive decision.
Yes.
So meal planning, I remember you put out a weekly structure, you shared it, and I also shared it with the rest of the clients. Meal prepping, when we did the meal prepping skills, it was like a switch that got turned on, Jyotsna.
Yeah.
The next minute, I saw you cutting vegetables, packing them neatly, putting them in airtight containers and sending me a picture of those in the fridge. That enlightened me a lot.
Yes.
I was like, this girl had it all along. She just needed a little bit of a direction and a little bit of nudging, and she took care of it. So, and again, anticipating your hunger and planning snacks accordingly, right? So that is also a huge thing which helped you stay in control with what you wanted to do and stay consistent with the process.
And again, with this whole time management thing, like, I realized that we can't postpone things. And like, I think I saw a post of yours where you had mentioned that, if you don't do your workout at between this time and this time, then there is a very high chance you may not do it for the day.
Personally, it doesn't
personally happen. I saw you shared something like that, and I realized that that's the same for me. If I don't eat my eggs in the morning, then there is a very slim chance I will compensate by doing it at lunchtime or dinner time, because there's already a plan for those things. So I try not to break the schedule as far as possible. And I'm realizing that more with my dance and my workouts as well, that if I don't show up in those time slots, they don't end up happening. Or even if they do end up happening, there is a lot of struggle to make it happen. The energy of rescheduling things in the mind itself. So the easy way is to have a structure and stay with the structure and not try to constantly tweak it or adjust things or make it fit. If it's a puzzle, then it's perfect that these pieces are just in those spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like fixing a doctor's appointment, right? Yeah, this is like an appointment that you fix with a doctor, and if you're unable to show up, you have to it's a huge struggle to fix another appointment.
Exactly. And that's something I'm realizing with my eating and my workouts and stuff on a daily basis, that it's just so much easier to show up when you need to and not procrastinate than to kind of make it happen later. It's too much work.
Absolutely. So let's do some time travel, Jyotsna. If you can go back to the time in April last year and speak with yourself with all the knowledge that you have now, what would you tell yourself?
That I waited too long, perhaps, to get help.
That's a great one.
Yes, I would have definitely said, why didn't you do this before? What were you waiting for? And but at the same time, I would have, congratulated myself on actually taking that step, to reach out to somebody and to invest in myself, to kind of, work at things that actually matter, things that are, that really add value to your life or the quality of your life.
Mm.
Sometimes we're constantly chasing very external things, and at the end of the day, we're not happy, and we know that. But this is something that has really, changed me so much. So I'm so glad that I did it, and I would have said you should have done it a little earlier, but never mind, you still did it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, so you were that bold Jyotsna that took that decision,
Yes.
right, to change certain things because you
No,
realized.
another thing, Shivya, I am a very impulsive person. I am very bold. I'm not usually scared to do things. But I think maybe with a lot of women and stuff, when it comes to themselves, how much do you want to invest? What is it necessary to do it? Do you really, can't you do it on your own? Can't you manage it somehow? We go through that a lot, right? And we prioritize other things. We prioritize even like very material things over ourselves. So I think that that's also something that I probably did. Why did it take me so long when I have I'm not somebody who thinks so much about things, but where this was concerned, I did think about it for a long time. And should I get help? No, I know everything, I can figure it out. I'm not doing it because I'm lazy. I'm not doing it because I lack consistency. But it isn't, it is, we're never very proactive where we're like, listen, I want help, and that is a priority. I want to sort this out about myself. We rarely do that.
Yeah, and change is not easy. It's a very, very difficult thing. And that in fact, the step that you took to actually reach out to me is like the biggest step.
Yes.
And after that, everything just went seamless because the changes were so small and they were built as small habits. They were integrated into your lifestyle.
It was a very organic and very smooth flowing kind of process. There wasn't like too many like end points that we hit.
So I totally agree with you, Jyotsna. We tend to place a lot of importance on other things.
Yeah.
And I don't blame anybody. I think we just made that way.
It's a mindsets also that we grow up with, right? We've seen
much
these
about
things.
ourselves.
Yeah, and we've seen it generation after generation. I remember even like like our moms or our grandmothers, they would always put themselves last.
Yeah,
So
and
it's a mindset, it's a behavior that we see.
We are spending this money on ourselves. What will people say? We think a lot about what other people say, and refrain from doing what is the best thing for us.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So I totally agree with you. So this is another thing that came up during the program was your comparisons, right? How did you handle that?
I think it's again, I've spent a lot of my life, feeling I was never enough, and feeling that somebody is always doing more. I mean, I still do have a certain sense of that. Still, it hasn't completely gone, but I think, just as I said, like my body telling me these things, telling me that you feel better, you look better, um, you are able to be more efficient, more constructive, things like that. I think that kind of started making me realize that I am an individual. And there are certain things that work for me, and only those, me trying to live with those things and actually get better at the things that I'm already good at is much easier and will give me results more than trying things that I may struggle with or don't work for me. So the comparison already stopped happening when I started seeing change in myself.
And also realizing what is a good fit for you.
Exactly.
Not necessarily in comparison with somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody
and
may
the thing is, it's strange because I'm not somebody who feels that way in most aspects, whether it's my sense of fashion or, and style, or I feel very individual and I appreciate individuality. But somewhere where this whole body image has come in for me, I feel like I've never been happy with the way my body is, or I've never felt that I've done the right thing for my body. I think somewhere the body also knows, right, that you haven't actually done the right thing. So even when I was very slim, I never felt I'm slim. I never felt I look good, or I never felt good because of the fact that maybe I was slim because of the age or the activity level, or metabolism. But now is when I realize that I feel good because of what I do,
That's
and it is even this is individual, just the way I like admire women with individual taste, the way each home is different, the way each one dresses is different, the way whatever, everything is so individual. But I realize that this is as well.
So the realization that so long as you're acting on what you want to achieve for yourself, you're okay with it.
Yes.
Right?
And
the
that
body, you're definitely
exactly, and that we each one can only do a certain amount, and what is best for them and what they are capable of and can cope with. There's no point beating yourself doing something more because somebody else is doing it, because you can't sustain it, and it causes stress. It causes a lot of stress.
huge learning and insight there,
Yes.
Jyotsna. Thank you for sharing that. So what did you like best about me as your coach?
Okay. I like this question. um, I think to begin with, that you were always available. I think that was huge for me. It wasn't that, I mean, all my emergency messages and I have eaten cake and I have eaten this and I have done this. And so I think you were always available for me when I needed to kind of vent, or I needed to, share my mistakes. That was something that I really valued. And I think also the way you handled it, that it wasn't like it was from a space of familiarity, and it was honest, because the way you would, you understood that you've been there too, or others have been there too, and that there is a way to come out of it. So it was always reassuring for me and positive, and I think that what else, I'm trying to think. But yeah, it was mostly the fact that whenever I needed to, reach out, you were always available, and you always handled it with a lot of empathy. At the same time, you didn't allow me to kind of succumb to it. There was a fine line of encouragement and acceptance from you.
Wow, thank
And
you.
I also remember that there were 1 or 2 weeks that, I said, I don't want to add any more habits. I can't, and you didn't push me at all. You actually said, let's strengthen what we are working at right now. And for me, that was huge, because I didn't want to go back to feeling overwhelmed. I didn't want to be, pushed by anybody. So that was again a very, very important for me, because you said, that's fine. Next 3 weeks, we won't add anything. We will just, work at improving these same things, but let's work at them. And it didn't mean that you became lax on me. Just because we weren't doing anything new for those 3 weeks, it's not that you didn't check up on me, and you were constantly checking up on me. So I think that was also very important for me.
Hey, this is huge, Jyotsna. Thank you so much. I mean, given that we are connecting in this space after so long, that
Yes.
we still recall and remember all of
Oh,
this.
yes, of course, of course.
It's very humbling.
I always think of you when I drink this as well. Every day, every few hours, I remember you.
Oh yeah, that was the biggest habit for you.
Yes.
So based on your transformation, how would you communicate the value of the program to the women who are considering to join this program, and they're thinking twice to invest? So any parting words from you, if you can speak to the audience who's watching us?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that it's very, very important to reach out to people who have spent time and effort in figuring these things out, whatever it is, in every sphere of our lives. When we want to make a new dress, we don't try to do it ourselves. We go to a designer, or we go to somebody who can make a dress, or we want to get stronger. We don't try to lift weights ourselves, because we're so aware of the fact that we could hurt ourselves, or so I think this is the same thing. We may think that we know everything about what it takes to lose weight, but I think there is much more to it. And I think that it's important for women to kind of women or men or anyone, to understand that it's a priority. Their physical wellness, their mental well-being, and their relationship with something as important as food. It's an everyday thing, so you need to be, it's like, a marriage. It's, you can't be in a miserable marriage your whole life. If you are, there's a problem there. Either you need to get help even there. So this is the same thing, that we do need to reach out, we do need to get help, and there are these fabulous people out there who are doing this. So why not? Why put everything on ourselves when we can ease it off a little bit for, you know, and get this help? So I think that everybody who is struggling with all the things I have struggled with or more, because everyone is individual and you have your own struggles, it is important to reach out. It is important to get help, and it will change your life forever.
Thank you, Jyotsna, for openly sharing everything. This is not easy for you to do this, and I understand that. But thank you for doing that, and
Thank
for your
you.
trust
No,
and confidence in me.
I'm so grateful for you for life. I can't even tell you.
So here is another thing. What are your thoughts on the community that we have of the WhatsApp group of all the women who are going through this program? Again, this is an add-on that I have for the one-on-one program. This is like a hybrid program where I've introduced a WhatsApp group of all the women who are doing the program, and they get to connect through it. So what is your feedback on that?
I think it's very encouraging for a lot of women who are on that group, to kind of share their stories, to share their small achievements, to talk about their struggles, and to be vulnerable in a space where they feel safe and they're not going to be judged, because everybody is pretty much in that same boat, you know. And it's also very encouraging and positive because you share a common love for something, an excitement for something new that, you know, you're all kind of embracing now. So it's very positive, it's very supportive. And you know, when I see a lot of these stories of women who share their experiences and stuff, it's very emotional in some strange way, because you've been there. And sometimes some women come out of it, some don't, but the struggle is always there, you know. It just gets the grade of how difficult it is, it reduces. But we're not, none of us are like, we're all a work in progress. So we learn from others, and we see where we stand, where others stand, and that they're so individual. So I think it's a very supportive platform.
Absolutely. And you understand that everybody, like you said, is at a different part of their journey. Somebody may be like, maybe, a little far ahead than you, and somebody may be just starting out. So it's a nice feeling. Everybody there, again, it exists on a continuum, right?
And I think another thing on that group is that a lot of things that you keep reiterating, right? Because I know that I have shared one or two meal pictures, or somebody else has shared one or two meal pictures of something that they do. And everybody's like, comes back saying, should we also do this? And you very calmly say, it works for her. And, so I think there are certain things that you keep reiterating, because even like for me, I see somebody doing that. I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? Should I be doing that? Because it's only natural for us to kind of want to do something that somebody else is doing. And like, I love how you kind of calm us down and put us back in our place and go back to what we're already doing.
Like you said, it's very individual. Context matters. Maybe
Exactly.
the person is just eating 2 meals a day.
Yes,
Not
exactly.
judge somebody's meal pictures by just one picture, right?
Yeah.
We have to understand their background. So absolutely, Jyotsna.
And I think you're also a great role model for all of us, Srividya. I think that not just being a coach, but just an example, like by living that example, constantly, whether it is with your workouts and your diligence and showing up at that hour in the morning, I think that is so inspiring for all of us on a daily basis.
Thank you. Like you said, it's been a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of challenges.
But
Nothing
looking
goes away, right?
Yeah.
But our skills and practices and habits bail us out.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I wanted to share is that, I also had these beliefs which were very, they very unrealistic. I remember asking you in our first conversation, will my stretch marks disappear?
Yeah.
And I remember you saying, no, they won't. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And you're like, they're never going to go. That sagging skin is never going to go. And I'm like, but that's not what everybody in social media or advertisements say. And I was chasing these things. And I think it was like such a reality because I've seen your transformation, and it is fabulous. But the fact that you so openly said that, no, that cellulite doesn't ever go, that little bit of sagging doesn't ever go, it was like a very, like, it was just like this moment for me to realize, like, what am I believing? What am I, thinking? We see these images that are so unreal, and we're chasing them. And that is half the problem. The problem is that we are not chasing the reality. The real stories are not out there as much.
Absolutely. And I have stretch marks, I have cellulite, I have a lower belly that sags. That's perfectly okay. I don't place any importance to those anymore.
Yes.
So, so here is something I want to mention to all the ladies who are watching us. Your thoughts and beliefs are very powerful and influence your daily actions and behaviors. So please pay attention to your mindset and beliefs while you're also working on your eating habits and exercise consistency. Some of the mindset and beliefs that Jyotsna also brought about that can keep you from progressing include being a perfectionist, an all or nothing approach, thinking in the short term, setting unrealistic or unreasonable expectations, being reactive, holding on to certain beliefs and strict rules around food and about yourself, treating food as a reward and exercise as a punishment, using food as a coping mechanism for your emotions and stressful situations. It is important for a sustainable lifestyle transformation to take into account your food, environment, triggers, thoughts, emotions, mindset, and beliefs while also working on your nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. So, like Jyotsna pointed out, sure, it's a lot of work. And if you're unsure about how to go about this on your own, please work with a coach who has a systematic and a structured habit based approach towards this and has experience working with women who go through these challenges.
For sure.
If you're interested in working with me, please
Yes.
reach out.
Please reach out. You will not regret it.
We can have a conversation around how we can both collaborate and make your goals a reality. Jyotsna, thank you so much for showing your
Oh
vulnerable
my God,
side.
my pleasure, my
You
absolute
know,
pleasure.
showing a vulnerable side and sharing all of these challenges openly for all the ladies who are watching us to benefit. Um, Thank you to all the people who are spending their time on a Sunday to watch us. I hope the rest of you who could not watch us live will be
Yes.
able to catch us on the replay. This is Sri Vidya Gauri and Jyotsna signing off, reminding you to eat well, stay happy, move daily, and keep it really simple.
Yes,
Bye
for
bye.
sure. Bye.